what's up? I'm Mike MUSHOK with the band STAIND, here to talk about our new record, Confessions of the Fallen.
Beautiful, Mike. Thanks for joining us today, brother. As you say, man, Stained returned with your new album, Confessions of the Fallen, on September 22nd. So, how does it feel to be back out there amongst it and putting out new music again?
Yeah, listen, I'm pretty excited. I mean, we worked, really hard on this, and I mean, it's been so long since we put out new music. It just feels great to be working again, and I'm just really proud of the way the record came out.
Can you tell us a bit about it more from a musical point of view and what you were going for with it?
Yeah, no, for sure. So, listen, we got together, we hadn't played together in a while. We got together around 2018, did some shows in 2019. I'd signed a record deal then, and then, COVID happened and kind of put all our plans on hold. And we were able to go out on tour in 2021, and we were on tour with Korn. And Aaron has a successful country music career in the States. So, he's always out playing. He doesn't stop. And on that tour with Korn was really a great opportunity to we're all together, get him in a room and play him some of the ideas and music that I had and really kind of get his feedback and what he liked, what he didn't. And it was really with a lot of those notes I was able to go back and you know start making changes and kind of following what his guidance was and what he was into. And we actually wrote a lot of the record on that tour. When we finished, we chose Eric as a producer, and it's funny, I mean, COVID was still kind of a thing. I mean, him and I were supposed to get together beginning of last year, and he had a band and they all had COVID. He got COVID. He was before he went to the airport, he called me, and we ended up doing a lot of stuff this way through Zoom. And we would kind of pick a song a day. We did like 1 week, we did like 5 songs, and he kind of put his twist on it, because one of the things Aaron really wanted to do was introduce more of an electronic element that we've never really experimented with. And I feel like Eric did a really great job, because I mean, I remember saying to Aaron, I'm like, I play guitar. I don't know how to make this electronic element, So, but it really, what it was that, like there might be a verse where the riff that I wrote on guitar ended up getting played on a synthesizer or something, and Eric kind of added in some, loops and that type of thing in certain areas. And, I felt he had a really great grasp of, adding some of that, but not too much, you know what I mean? So it still kind of maintained who we were, but yet kind of a little bit more modern sounding. So at the end of the day, I think he did a great job, in going back and listening to it, and just really happy with the little production things that he added as well.
And to date, you've released the singles Here and Now, Cycle of Hurting, In This Condition, and Lowest in Me. So overall, would you say they're a good sonic representation of what to expect?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a pretty good representation of what the record is. Like Here and Now is definitely the slowest song on the record. It's funny though, so here people have been able to hear it, and there's another, it's kind of different song though, kind of has like a classic rock kind of feel to me of it. A song called Better Days, and I've been getting texts from like all these people that I know that say it's their favorite song on the record, so it's kind of neat to hear.
And you chose Lowest in Me as the first single that you've released in over a decade, and it's also the first song on the album, mate. So what chose that particular song to sort of reintroduce, I guess, stay into the music world after so long?
That's a really good question. I mean, it felt like there were so many people involved in making that decision of what the first single is going to be. And it kind of got put to me like, hey, Lowest in Me. And I was like, okay. Because honestly, I mean, I might have chosen, oh God, it's so funny. I can't remember the names of the songs because they were working titles forever. Give me 1 second. I'm going to tell you what it is. I think you mentioned it. What were the songs you mentioned? I felt so stupid right now.
Cycle of Hurting, Lois and Me, and this
Cycle of Hurting.
Cycle of
I
Hurting.
might have done Cycle of Hurting first, to be honest with you. But I mean, listen, Lowest to Me, it worked. I mean, it was number one here, so I can't complain with that.
And Confessions of the Fallen is your first studio album in 12 years, mate. So what's changed with the band in that period?
That's it's funny because when we got back together, it felt like nothing changed. You know what I mean? It felt like we kind of just picked up right where we left off. I mean, the one thing for me is that my kids are older, so it kind of makes it a little bit easier to go out and tour. You know, I have twins and they both have their license now, so like all the responsibility doesn't fall upon my wife, and I don't feel as guilty if I'm away, working, and she's trying to run everybody everywhere. That's probably the biggest thing for me. I don't know. I don't Like I said, when we got back together, there was a bit of an anxiety, leading up to like we haven't written a song together in over 10 years. So but then we started, and you just, like I said, you kind of picked up where you left off, and we just kind of fell back into what it was. And like I said, I think Eric helped a lot, and helped putting everything together. And but yeah, that was really about it. I mean, it's for me, I'm just happy that we're playing again and making music again.
So we go back in time a bit, mate. So STAIND started back in 1995 in Springfield, Massachusetts. So what was the musical climate like back then that gave birth to the band, and where did you fit in initially?
Sure. So back in those days, if you wanted to play out, all the bands that were playing out were basically like tribute bands, cover bands in Springfield. So I mean, I always say our first rehearsal, I think we worked on like 3 original songs, and I was really excited with where they were going. I mean, but we said, hey, if we want to do this and we want to play on a Friday night, not at, 9 o'clock to nobody, we got to probably learn some covers. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you can kind of guess. I mean, there was a lot of, Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam and Rage Against the Machine and Pantera and, Korn and, so we kind of put together this set of, music at the time that we really enjoyed, and but always played original songs from our first gig. We always had originals that we played. And what we did was the money that we made from those gigs, we saved. We never took, I mean, we would put the money in a bank and, save up to make our first record, which we did, which was Tormented. And bought a van, bought a trailer, and started, befriending other bands in the area and just kind of playing throughout New England. And, we always had, where we were from in Western Massachusetts, we always had these, great gigs. So we did very well in our area. And, we were able to offer other bands, and, kind of trading gigs with them. And that's actually what led to us getting signed. There was a band in Connecticut called Sugar Milk, and they used to come play with us. And one night after rehearsal, the drummer called and said, hey, we're opening for Limp Bizkit. He goes, you guys would be first. It's a 20-minute set. You're going on at like 7, or like, I'm like, and their first record had just come out.
Wow.
And we were all, loving it. And I'm like, yeah, definitely. We'll definitely take it. And that's what led to us, Fred hearing us for the first time, which directly led to us getting a record deal.
Amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It wasn't until your third album, Break the Cycle, in 2001, that STAIND fully cracked the market, mate. Like, why do you think that album did it for you? Do you think it was the timing? Do you think it was?
Yeah, listen, I mean, I know here in the States that coming off of Family Values, which we did in 99, Aaron did that version of Outside with Fred, which here in the States just blew up into this huge song, which I really think really set up what Break the Cycle was going to be. You know what I mean? Because it really was our, we had success with, a song called Mud Shovel on that record in the States. But I mean, Outside was literally everywhere being played that summer as we were writing Break the Cycle, and we had always kind of intended to go back and, at least I did, redo a version of that song as a full band, which we did and we put on the record. but yeah, there was something about that setting up and then coming in. And I remember after Outside, arguing with management, like, we just had a ballad. I don't want, and they wanted It's Been a While first. I'm like, that's stupid. I don't want, we want to come with a heavy song. I'm a metal band, I wanted to be a metal band, but, I mean, listen, I can't complain. It's Been a While. It was the biggest song we ever had, obviously. You know what I mean? And it was obviously the smart choice. They're like, no, go with what's best. And that's one. And so that's what we did. And I think that really just kind of, launched everything, really.
Yeah. Like you say, like one of the biggest reasons for that success was the song It's Been a While, mate. It's like, how hard has it been since then not to recycle that formula of that song, like knowing that that's a big hit? How hard is it not to just sort of try and replicate that?
Well, it's funny because after that record, trying to make 14 Shades of Grey, I feel like the record company wanted us to send them It's Been a While 12 times. I think that's all that they wanted. You know what I mean? So it was really hard. I mean, it's funny. You go and we made our first record, major label record, Dysfunction. Nobody cared. Nobody showed up at the studio. Nobody came for mixing. We turned it in. They're like, cool, that's good. It sells 1 million records. Now people start to care. You know what I mean? And then after Break the Cycle, people really cared because they're like, oh my God, this, we need to, now you got to duplicate that. And you're like, oh, how am I going to duplicate that? I mean, we're just going to write the best songs we can and, see what happens. Really. But there was it definitely made it a little bit harder, for 14 Shades of Grey. And even Chapter 5 after that. I mean, it was, you have the president of the label showing up at their studio, and our studio happened to be on the 4th floor of a strip club. You know what I mean? So you got to walk up through it to get there, and yeah, it was, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, people start caring. Makes it a little bit tougher. But listen, you get through it. You know what I mean? It's, yeah.
And you mentioned before, but the band went on a hiatus in 2012 and came back in 2019. Like, I'm not going to ask you why, because that's no one's business but your own. But what actually changed to make you decide to come back again, that the world needed STAIND?
But there's no secret what it was. I mean, Aaron, wanted to, pursue his country career.
Okay.
I don't think that's really what led to it. You know what I mean? He just had this desire to want to try and do something else, and and he did. And listen, man, you got to be happy with what you're doing, right? And if he wasn't happy doing that, and that's what he had to go do, then I just go do it, man. If this is what you need to do, go do it. So, and during that time, we spoke, and there was talk of us doing something again. There was just no timeline. The last STAIND record that we made was the last record that needed to be made for Atlantic. That was our 6th album of a 6-album deal. And so there was no obligation. There was nobody saying, oh, we need this by this time and you got a deadline, and you know what I mean? So everything at that point was really kind of wide open. So he was able to go do that. And really, to me, there was, we just started getting offers. And it's funny, I feel like there's a gentleman here in the States named Danny Wimmer who does a lot of these rock festivals in the States. He's a large promoter. I mean, he's not Live Nation, but I mean, he's he's probably the largest independent, promoter there is, and a friend of ours. And I mean, funny that I told the Limp Bizkit story, and I met Danny. We went down to Jacksonville after the Christmas of '97 and spent a week at Fred's house working on music with him. And that New Year's, we played Danny's bar in Jacksonville, Florida, called the Milk Bar, New Year's Eve, opening for Limp Bizkit. And that's why I met Danny. And Danny went on to be this huge promoter. He actually was our A&R guy. He worked for Atlantic Records for a little while, and he's actually the president of our label now. So he is the president who we signed a new record deal with. He's always just been he's just a great supporter of rock metal music. You know what I mean? Not just us, but a lot of bands. You know what I mean? He's a great guy. So there's other Danny was giving us offers. He'd always said, I want you guys to play. You guys got to get together and play my festivals. You got to get there. So Danny was a big part in helping push that and, really trying to get us to play. And Aaron was working with a new manager. He used to play with him. And, he called me and said, hey, we should all get together and talk about doing this. There's some really good offers. And I think Aaron's ready to, to do Stained again. And, that's really kind of what led to it, and that's why we set up these shows that we did in 2019, which, we had a whole plan for 2020, which, I keep saying that, I feel the whole world had plans for 2020 and they all went by the wayside, and, but we regrouped again in 21, kind of, came up with a new plan, which is pretty much similar, just off a year, and it was really on that tour. We did a tour with Korn, which was fantastic. I just love that band and just love playing with them. And, but it was really on that tour that a lot of this record came together. I was able to work with Aaron and play him the ideas that I had and really kind of get a direction for where we wanted to go.
I was sort of touched on this a little bit before when you mentioned the electronics coming into your music, but you guys have been around for nearly 30 years now, and there's been a lot of changes in the music world since you started. So as a band, have you tried to sort of grow and change with the music times, or have you more stuck to your own path?
I mean, for me, I just kind of do what I do. You know what I mean? I just sit and play guitar and try to come up with riffs that I think are cool. That's really what it boils down to. You know what I mean? If I fumble across something that I think's a cool riff, I'm going to record it and save it. And, if there's enough inspiration, I'll, continue writing it. And, that's really where the music comes from, is just kind of sitting around and, playing guitar and trying to come up with something that I think's cool. So regardless if it's, 1995 or, 2025, it's pretty much the same for me.
Before I let you go, mate, I've started up 3 Spotify playlists to introduce people to bands that I talk with work. So using your own songs, a song for a playlist to get the party started, one for a playlist to save your marriage, and one for a playlist to potentially end your marriage.
Oh, geez. So get the party started. It could be Lowest in Me, right? I mean, that's, let's try to go all new record. How about, and then, Save Your Marriage, maybe Here and Now, but I think I'll be honest with you, like to Save Your Marriage or no, to Celebrate Your Marriage. Is that what it was?
Save Your Marriage and End Your Marriage.
Yeah, Save. Listen, I gotta say, Aaron has a song that's on one of ours called "Tangled Up in You," which is it's beautiful. That could be a good one. And then new record, maybe Confessions of the Fallen. Maybe that would end it. I don't know. That could be a good one. I don't know. I don't know what's going to end a marriage, to be honest with you. Hopefully nothing. Hopefully we can work through it. Listen, marriage is difficult. For sure, if anyone's been married, but listen, it's also great as well. So.
Fantastic. All right, mate. Well, thanks very much for your time, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Confessions of the Fallen is out now, and she's an absolute cracker. So I strongly encourage everyone to get amongst it.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the time. And it was really nice speaking to you.
You as well, brother. Have yourself a good day.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you.
Yes, right.
See you.
You won't let me, so I'm closed off, hating all the cage.